the implosion of the everything bubble, and the massive amount of wealth that'll likely get wiped off the map as a result. We're going to be talking about some massive numbers in this video and what is likely going to get whacked and what might actually be spared. Let's get right into it. But if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe right down below the video. Also, quick disclaimer, this is not investing advice, this is not financial advice, this is not advice in any way, shape, or form, and I am not here to instill fear in anybody, but at the same time, I think all of us can completely recognize that this bubble has been inflated year after year after year. The bubble's been getting bigger and bigger, and I think all of us can recognize it's only going to be a matter of time until this thing pops and the whole house of cards comes crumbling down and collapses on itself. Well, we might actually be witnessing the start of that unraveling and the house of cards starting to fall from the very top, and it might actually collapse on itself here sooner than later. So I think all of us have recognized this day was going to be coming, and we may actually be witnessing the start of this whole thing starting to collapse a little bit right on itself. So in this video, I want to talk about some massive numbers that I've been seeing out there as far as what some experts are calling on and how much wealth could actually be wiped off the global map as a result of this everything bubble collapsing and popping with everything going on. I also want to talk about some different asset classes that I'm looking at that I think will go down significantly, as well as an asset class that I think may go down a little bit, but ultimately will stay very elevated, as well as a few asset classes that I think will probably continue to move much higher during this very time. Yeah, kind of an interesting time that we're living in right now, right? But ultimately, it is just the natural ebb and flow of markets. This is something that happens, and it's just kind of what goes on, and we have to embrace it, even though a lot of times these collapses can be very detrimental for a lot of people. But again, we can also look at this as a massive opportunity. A lot of times these collapses provide massive opportunities if you know what to look for. So let's quickly run through this. I want to make it quick. I want to respect your time. Let's run through this. All right, so some of the asset classes that I'm looking at that I think are going to get absolutely whacked with this everything bubble collapsing in on itself: stocks, equities. So basically anything within the stock market. Of course, there will be some defensive plays. There will be some of those out there, some different sectors, utilities, things like this, that usually fare a little bit better. Massive dividend-paying sectors or stocks individually usually do better during times like this, but for the most part, a lot of stocks, equities will get hammered during this time. Also, crypto. I know that we've gone down quite a bit from the highs. I know that it's bottomed out and it's starting to move up a little bit again, but like they say, this could be a dead cat bounce. Again, just a figure of speech. We're not like throwing cats or anything, so please don't be mad at me. This is just a figure of speech. But yeah, a lot of times this is looking like just a little reprieve, and probably another leg down will likely be coming. Also, NFTs, things like this. Again, it's been fun, right, when it comes to NFTs, but realistically, this is probably another one of these asset classes, another sector that's probably hot for the time being, but realistically, probably going to get whacked. And again, who knows? We don't really know until it all comes and it all happens. However, let me talk about one asset class that I do believe is probably going to go down a little bit, but realistically, it's probably not going to go down much, and realistically, it's probably going to continue moving much higher. What is it? You probably know. Real estate. Why real estate? Here's the deal. As the market continues to crack, the whole bubble starts to implode on itself, the house of cards comes crumbling down. I do think real estate will come down a little bit simply because it's a function of supply and demand. As people start to get worried, as their investments start to crumble, things like this, less money, a little bit less job security, a little bit less just security on everything going on out there, the demand for housing may actually dry up a little bit. However, we do know that right now there is a lack of supply when it comes to the housing market, right? There's a ton of demand and not much supply on the marketplace. Therefore, I think the housing market may come down a little bit, but it's not going to be much. And realistically, as soon as consumers feel a little bit more confident, as the whole bubble implodes on itself and maybe finds a bottom, or people just feel like, hey, prices have come down maybe 5%, maybe 10%. Honestly, probably not even 10%. But people might start jumping in the market again and say, hey, this is a great opportunity. Prices have come down a little bit here. I'm feeling confident, and this is the opportunity. Let's jump on it. So that might be a reason why. But again, I don't really foresee real estate coming down all that much. Maybe a few percentage points, but honestly, not much. If you're in the market to buy a place, you do whatever you see fit for you. But honestly, as you see it come down a little bit, it might be your opportunity to pounce, grab on something if the supply is there. Again, something that's been a struggle for a lot of people out there looking for a new house right now. There's the simplest fact that the supply and demand equation just simply isn't there, right? A ton of demand outstripping all that supply, and therefore typically leading to all of these bidding wars, people coming into homes and multiple offers, things like this. Again, if you're watching the real estate market, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I watch real estate very, very closely, and yeah, it's kind of crazy time out there right now, right? It's unbelievable how the real estate market is moving. However, let's quickly talk about some of the asset classes that I think will also continue to move up higher, significantly higher throughout this time. Commodities. Now, when I say commodities, I actually lump a few different things into this category that may not actually be considered commodities, but I want to lump it all into the same category. So things like oil, like crude oil, like oil, right? Lumber, things like coffee, and precious metals. So silver. In fact, I'm fiddling around with a silver coin right now. I have one sitting on my desk. In fact, I fiddle around with it as I record my videos, so it's always nice to have a little silver in your hand, right? But anyway, when it comes to silver, I think silver, as far as other precious metals, being platinum, palladium, gold, all of these, I honestly think these are going to continue to move up in value. Realistically, the destruction of the dollar, the United States dollar, the purchasing power of that thing as they continue to print more, and obviously they're just printing it into oblivion, it's going to become worthless and worthless. However, these guys, the silver American Eagles, they're always going to be worth something. Why? Because it's a tangible item. This is going to be something that they're always going to need. They're going to need silver, not for coins like this, so guys like me can fiddle around with them when they record videos, but rather silver because they use them in all kinds of electronics, right? They use them in phones, cars, computers, you name it. There's silver that is used in all kinds of electricity or electrical products, things like that, right? So it's something that's always going to be in demand. Same thing with platinum and palladium. Again, palladium is something that they use in car production and all kinds of electronics. Platinum, again, jewelry, just like gold, jewelry, things like this. Now, why do I think lumber and different commodities like oil and lumber will continue to move up? And coffee. Why? Because these are the things that people rely on. These are the consumables. Unlike real estate, yes, real estate is a tangible item, but at the same time, real estate is not necessarily a consumable. You don't move into a house, use it up after 1 year, and then walk away and the house is gone. No, the house is usually there for decades and decades. I mean, honestly, it's there for 40, 50, 100 years at a time, right? It's not really a consumable. Whereas things like silver, it's a consumable. They use it and it's consumed. Things like oil, we burn it, right? It's consumed. Lumber, we use it to consume and we build houses. We build other things. We consume it. Just like coffee, again, it's one of those things that even in the case of a massive collapse, what are people going to tend to lean toward? They're going to lean toward the things that are very important to them. What's important to them? Housing, coffee. A lot of people will not give up their coffee no matter what. Some people would reserve driving their cars over giving up their daily cup of coffee. I mean, seriously, if you're a coffee drinker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are some very, very loyal coffee drinkers. So it's something that I think, even in the situation of a collapse of the everything bubble imploding on itself, coffee, lumber, oil, real estate, all of these things, precious metals, they're all going to fare very, very well. So obviously, I'm not going out and buying stacks of 2x4s. I'm not going out and buying loads of houses or barrels of oil. When it comes to silver, honestly, I'm not buying even silver. This coin was actually just given to me. I do have a few coins of silver. It's honestly not much, but I do have a few of these guys, just simply because I think they're cool for number one, and it's just nice to have in the event that the dollar is worth absolutely nothing. It's nice to be able to have something that has some tangible value that maybe in the event you need to go out to a store and say, hey, I need to buy my groceries. The dollars that we carry around are completely worthless. It's just worthless paper. What can I exchange? Well, silver has some value. Maybe I could peel off a couple silver coins and maybe, I don't know, buy a steak or two. Honestly, I wouldn't be buying steaks. If it got to that point, honestly, a steak would be the last thing I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for something a little bit more realistic, milk and eggs, bread, stuff like that, the very basics. But anyway, as it comes to the everything bubble right now, certainly a very interesting time. We've got to continue watching the equity markets very, very closely. We need to watch the Fed. We need to watch interest rates. We need to watch everything else out there right now that's going on. And we've watched the lumber market as well. If you've been watching that very closely over the last year or so, that thing is very, very volatile, but that is all over the place. But ultimately, it just continues to trend higher because honestly, the demand is there. It's all about supply and demand when it comes to these commodities. Lumber, oil, how much oil are we burning, things like this. So anyway, we could be on the cusp of this everything bubble basically starting to collapse on itself. But again, we've been seeing the markets roll over here a little bit over the last couple of weeks. We've been seeing things start to roll over and start to move down. But again, I've been watching the markets for a very long time. Sometimes you see these things and you think, this is it. This is the big one. It's time. It's time that it's going to start going down. And all of a sudden it comes down, it bottoms out, and it just rips higher. But again, we got to watch this stuff very closely because you just never know. It could be the start of it. But of course, we won't really know that here until we get a few more key indicators coming out. And again, when I say indicators, I'm not saying watching like the stochastics or the MACD or moving averages. Honestly, who cares about that? Watch the price. It's all about supply and demand in the market as well. So don't watch the indicators, but rather watch price as an indicator. Make sense? Yeah, it's all about price. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. I love watching this stuff, and I want to watch out for everybody here in the community. But honestly, we could look at it as, oh man, the world is falling, or we could look at it as, oh man, this is an amazing opportunity, and let's get ready. So either way, it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. I want to be here for you and keep you posted with everything going on. So hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe down below so I can keep you posted with everything going on. Enjoy your day. Thanks so much for watching this, and look out below. All right, enjoy your day.